1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. Pilgrims are in Maidan-e-Arafat to perform Rukn-e-Azam of Hajj Waquf-e-Arafat. The Senate and the National Assembly today passed the Anti-Terrorism Amendment Bill 2020 and the United Nations Security Council Amendment Bill 2020 to fulfill certain requirements of the Financial Action Task Force. The Foreign Minister has thanked the parliamentarians for approving the legislation related to Financial Action Task Force and foiling the Indian designs to push Pakistan towards Financial Action Task Force's blacklist. The Prime Minister says promotion of construction sector is among the top priorities of the government to minimize adverse impacts of coronavirus pandemic on national economy. Pakistan has urged the world community to dissuade India from its disproportionate arms buildup, which could lead to an arms race in South Asia. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, veteran Hurriyat leader Sayyid Ali Gilani has appealed to the Kashmiri people to pay special attention to families of the martyrs and detainees on the occasion of Eid al-Azha. And now the news in detail. The Hajj pilgrims are in Maidan-e-Arafat to perform the Rukn-e-Azam of Hajj Waquf-e-Arafat. They listen to the Hajj sermon. They are delivered from Masjid-e-Nimra and offered Zohar and Asr prayers together. Delivering the Hajj sermon from Masjid-e-Nimra, Sheikh Abdullah bin Salman Al-Mani urged the Muslims around the world to follow the teachings of Islam and seek Allah the Almighty's blessings through patience. He asked the Muslims to remain united in the bonds of brotherhood and impressed upon the need for showing compassion towards parents, children, relatives, and all living beings. Sheikh Abdullah bin Salman Al-Mani said Muslims should thank Allah the Almighty for His countless blessings and must follow His teachings. He said the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the best example for us to follow as he guided the humanity onto the right path. He urged all the Muslims around the world to follow the precautionary measures to stop the spread of coronavirus epidemic. Sheikh Abdullah bin Salman Al-Mani said the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, has prohibited us from going to those places where epidemic exists. He said Allah brings ease after every difficulty. The Hajj pilgrims will stay at Arafat, spending the entire day in supplication, praying for welfare of the Ummah. After sunset, they will leave for Muzdalfa, where they will offer Maghrib and Isha prayers together and spend the night under an open sky. They will also collect pebbles from Muzdalfa to throw at the Satan the next morning. After offering Fajr prayers at Muzdalfa, they will leave for Mina for the remaining Hajj rituals. Rather than standing and praying shoulder to shoulder in a sea of people, Hajj pilgrims this year are observing social distancing, standing apart and moving in small groups of 20 to avoid the potential transmission of coronavirus. Only 1,000 people already residing in Saudi Arabia were selected to take part in the Hajj rituals this year. The Senate today passed the Anti-Terrorism Amendment Bill 2020 and the United Nations Security Council Amendment Bill 2020. The bills were moved by the Advisor on Parliamentary Affairs, Babar Awan. Earlier, the Chairman Standing Committee of the Upper House on Law and Justice, Javed Abbasi, presented reports on these bills. Speaking on the occasion, he said the opposition is not against legislation related to the Financial Action Task Force to fulfill Pakistan's international obligations. The National Assembly also passed both the bills during its session in Islamabad today. The House was later adjourned to meet again on the 7th of next month at 5 p.m. The Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi thanked the Senate members for approving the legislation related to Financial Action Task Force and foiling the Indian designs to push Pakistan towards Financial Action Task Force's blacklist. Speaking in the Senate, he said Pakistan has undertaken this legislation in compliance of its obligations to implement the International Court of Justice's judgment in the Indian spy Kulbhushan Yadav's case. This is Radio Pakistan. Prime Minister Imran Khan says promotion of the construction sector is one of the top priorities of the government to minimize the adverse impacts of corona pandemic on the national economy, accelerate the economic process and create job opportunities in the country. He was addressing the weekly meeting of the National Coordination Committee for Housing, Construction and Development in Islamabad today. The Prime Minister said all possible facilities are being provided to the construction sector and the business community should take full advantage of these incentives. He asked the business community to invest in this sector, assuring them all possible cooperation from the government in this regard. The Prime Minister directed all the Chief Secretaries to take strict action against government officials who are creating obstacles in fulfilling government priorities. The Chairman National Disaster Management Authority, Lieutenant General Mohammad Afzal, says hospitals are being upgraded all across the country to facilitate the COVID-19 patients. Addressing the USAID ventilators handing over ceremony in Islamabad today, he said COVID-19 patients need special attention as compared to others. The Chairman National Disaster Management Authority said the additional ventilators and beds will be installed in hospitals across the country. He said NDMA is acquiring all necessary equipments to deal with this pandemic. There is a significant improvement in the number of those recovering from COVID-19 in Pakistan, with the total tally reaching 246,131, according to the latest data shared by the National Command and Operations Center. 1,114 new cases and 32 deaths were reported during the last 24 hours. 21,628 tests were carried out during this period. There are 25,347 active COVID cases in Pakistan so far. Pakistan has urged the world community to dissuade India from its disproportionate arms buildup, which could lead to an arms race in South Asia. Addressing the weekly news briefing in Islamabad today, Foreign Office spokesperson Aisha Faruqi said the world is already a witness to the bellicose and irresponsible rhetoric by the Bharatiya Janata Party government in pursuit of a revisionist agenda in the neighborhood. Reacting to the reports of recent acquisition of Rafale jets by the Indian Air Force, she said India continues to amass military capabilities beyond its genuine security requirements. The spokesperson said Pakistan has been consistently highlighting the risks of massive Indian arms buildup, as well as their offensive security doctrine and force postures, which are adversely affecting the strategic stability in South Asia. Aisha Faruqi said this arms buildup is being aided and abetted through a policy of exemptions, waivers, and supply of advanced equipment, technology, and weapons for narrow commercial interests. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, veteran Hurriyat leader Sayyid Ali Gilani, greeting the entire Muslim Ummah on the eve of Eid al-Adha, has appealed to the Kashmiri people to pay special attention to the families of the martyrs and detainees. In a tweet today, he said Kashmiri martyrs have sacrificed their present for the better future of other Kashmiris and they deserve to be remembered on this auspicious occasion. Sayyid Ali Gilani said Eid al-Adha should inculcate in us the spirit of sacrifice. Meanwhile, the Grand Mufti of occupied Kashmir, Mufti Nasirul Islam, in an interview urged the Kashmiri people to observe 5th of August as Black Day, as the Modi-led fascist Indian government, in violation of international laws, repealed the special status of Kashmir on that day last year. The occupation authorities have extended till August 19th the ongoing ban on high-speed internet services in the territory, which is under military siege for the past almost 1 year. India is preparing to deploy an additional 35,000 troops along the line of actual control with China as the possibility of an early resolution to tensions between the two countries fades. In an interview, the director Delhi-based think tank, the United Service Institution of India, B.K. Sharma, said the nature of the line of actual control, at least in Ladakh, has changed forever. He said additional troops rushed by either side will not move back unless there is a rapprochement at the highest political level. And finally, the weather. Mainly hot and humid weather is expected in most parts of the country during the next 12 hours. However, rain, wind, thundershowers are expected in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, upper central Punjab and Kashmir, while rain is also expected at few places in lower Sindh. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.